Hi there, it's Liz Yule from Old Stables Crafts again, and today I've got a project that uses one of the Sale-a-bration stamp sets. This is the Tasty Trucks stamp set, and today's project is this card here, but the main reason for doing this is so that you can see what makes £45 so that you can actually get the stamp set. Because it's all very well saying that we've got these free items during Sale-a-bration, but if you don't know what £45 looks like as product, that I think that's sometimes you need to know how much you can get, and that it actually you can get quite a lot for your £45. So this project uses the Peekaboo Peach ink pad, the Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad, the In Colour Stampin' Up markers, and that's a pack of 5. Then the cardstock is one of the multi-packs of cardstock. And this is fruit stand, and I sometimes think that people miss a trick with these. If you look in the annual catalogue, you will find towards the back there is a section that talks about the designer series paper and coordinating cardstock, and there are 3 pages. So for each of the designer series papers, Stampin' Up, because they're really good at the whole colour matching thing, give you the option to buy a pack of A4 cardstock. Occasionally it's the 12 by 12, but mostly A4 cardstock in a selection of colours. Now, the one that we're using today is this one over here, which is the Fruit Stand cardstock pack. It's $7.25 for 24 sheets, and that's 8 of each of 3 colours, and that's Pear Pizzazz, Peekaboo Peach and Watermelon Wonder, and that goes with the colours that are in the Fruit Stand Designer Series paper. But I think particularly for new crafters, to get more product for their money, it's actually quite a good option to go for one of the cardstock multi-packs. Because, as I say, you then get 3 colours for the same amount of money as just buying 1 colour. The other option that you have to get multi-colours would be to go with one of the collection packs. So, sorry, this has got all sorts of markings on it. So you can get the whole pack of a particular collection, and in that case you get in the colour, what I call the colour collections, you get 24 sheets, which is 2 each of the colours. Whereas if you go for the neutrals collection, oh no, sorry, correction, you do still get, it's the pads and the ink fills, refills and stuff you don't. So again, in all of the collections, you get 2 each of the 10 colours, or if you go for the in colours, you get 4 of each of the colours, because there's only 5 colours in each of the collections. So you could get the in colour cardstock pack and get 4 sheets of each of the 5 colours. So there we go, just a thought. The other card that we're going to use is the standard Whisper White, and that comes in a pack of 40 sheets of A4. It's £8.25, so you get a lot more sheets, but it's the thinner, it's the nice smooth card that's brilliant for stamping on and getting the really clear image. So enough of that. I will cover, oh yes, there's one other item I forgot, is the rhinestones, the basic rhinestones. This is a nice shiny new pack. I'm actually going to be using the leftovers from an existing pack that I'm using. Now, the inks, the multicoloured card pack, well, any card pack, but because we're using a multicoloured card pack, the A4 Whisper White Smooth, the in-colour pens and the rhinestones, that lot all comes to exactly £45. So if you bought those, you would be able to select this or any of the other Sale-a-bration items, but you'd be able to get the stamp set free. So, as I say, I just wanted to let you know what £45 would look like, and that's a really good starter kit for a new beginner. So anyway, let's get on with the project. We are going to start with our card bases. Let's pop these all to one side for the moment so they don't get in the way. So we've got the Watermelon Wonder, which is, say, out of the Fruit Stand pack, and I've cut that in half, so that's A5, and then scored in the middle to make an A6 card. Then Peekaboo Peach, and don't worry about writing all these measurements down, they will be on the associated blog post, which will be linked below. So Peekaboo Peach is 5 5/8 by 3 7/8, or 14 1/4 by 10 centimetres. Pear Pizzazz, we're looking at 3 7/8 by 2.5 inches, or 9 3/4 by 6 1/4. And then the Whisper White is 3 by 2 1/4, which is 7 1/2 by 5 1/2. And then I've also got two tiny little scraps. This is a scrap of Whisper White and a scrap of the Watermelon Wonder, and it's just a little slither so that you get a border round your image when you stamp the sentiment. So there we go. Let us start stamping. So the first thing we're going to do is actually do the truck itself. The Memento ink is a very fast drying ink, but it's best to, oh, it helps if you remember you've got the stamps out. It's best to, when you stamp in this, if you're going to colour in, which we are, it's best to stamp and just put it to one side for a minute while you do everything else, so that you know it's properly dried off. So I'm using the D block today for this. So let's just pop that on. Ooh, pop that on there. Then I'm going to bring in my piercing mat, because this is a photopolymer stamp. It's best to use the piercing mat. Oops, sorry, hit the camera stand. These actually stamp really well without, but you do get a better impression, particularly if you're new at this, if you do use something just to cushion behind. So this is a fabric ink pad rather than the foam ink pad. So with this you want to do a bit of twisting first, just to make sure you're getting a good coverage, and you'll be able to see because it's clear, and then tap. So, yep, okay, and then just make sure it's square, down, give it a count of maybe up to 5, and then there we are. So I'll pop that to one side. I'll use the Stampin' Scrub cleaner in a minute to clean that off. We'll need this again, actually we'll do that now. So I'm just going to very gently, because it is still a bit not dry, pop a post-it note down there, and then I'm going to take, I must stop trying to open a stamp set which has already got the stamps out of it. My brain clearly is not with me today. I'm going to take the little ice cream cone, and I'm going to put this on an A block. Now I have shown you in earlier videos how to use a bigger block for small images. Basically what you would do, in fact let's do that rather than using the A block. So pop your small image in the middle of your block, ink it up, and then so that you don't end up with it rocking, take a couple of the other images and just pop those either side, or top and bottom, sort of nearby. And then what we're doing with this is because an ice cream cone's not going to be able to stand on its point, I'm just putting it so that it's slightly down, so it's going to be sort of on the shelf of the ice cream van. And then obviously very carefully, in fact I'll take that bottom one off, just re-ink the cone, stamp it again, re-ink the cone, and stamp it again. And because we've got the other two stamps there, you get quite a nice solid feel. If we take these off and just do this onto the post-it note, it's very rocky. I mean, it's okay, but it could be, particularly on small yellow rubber stamps, you can end up catching the edge of the stamp. So I would recommend either putting it on a smaller block or using your other stamps to balance it out. So we don't need that anymore. The other thing that we've got to do, which I will do now as well, just peel that off gently, is to put in our banner. I'm again going to use the post-it note for that. So pop those back, bring off the banner, and I will use the smaller block this time. And what I'm going to do with this, and it's something to bear in mind, you can use these to ink up your stamps. So you've got two ends. You've got the paintbrush end, and then you've got the writing end. If you use the paintbrush end on its side, so you don't damage the nib, you can actually rub the ink, which is the same ink that is used in the ink pad. You use the same re-inker to refill both your ink pad and your marker. And I mean, you may have heard me say this before, but I would always get, if you're buying an ink pad or a marker, buy the refill as well, so that you've got it for years. Now I'm going to have to see how far down I can bring this and still have you in shot, because with the camera in the way, it's I need to just make sure that I'm stamping this in the right place. So just there, then take this off, bring it over the other side, re-ink the stamp, and pop another banner in this side. So there we go. And because we've used the post-it note, you can see, now let's see if I can do this without it. You can see that because we've used the post-it note, it actually lines up beautifully, both the banner and the ice creams. So we'll pop that to one side and do the rest of our stamping whilst that's just setting finally. I'll just clean this. And you probably know that our stamping scrub, one side is wet and one side is dry, and you just clean it off. And the mist that you use with that is brilliant for conditioning the stamps. So our Peekaboo Peach background and our Peekaboo Peach ink pad. And in fact, actually, I'm going to change what I was going to do, just because I can. I'm going to use the, hopefully now clean, ice cream cone rather than the banner, just so that it's a bit different from the one I made earlier. So tap, 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 because this is the foam ink. And all we're going to do, and there's really no right or wrong way to do this, and because it's just a background, I'm not too worried about direction, those sort of things. What I am going to do is just bring in my post-it note so that I can stamp off the edge as well. It just makes it look, I don't know, more professional somehow if you stamp off the edge, which is sort of counterintuitive, but there you go. I'm not going to worry too much about stamping all over the card, because we know that over here we're going to have, let's do that again because it's clear you can. Over here we're going to have other card covering, so I'm not going to worry too much about covering all of this side. I'll just make sure that it's reasonably covered so that it looks as if it's all meant to be. I hope you are, sorry, that was radio silence. You should never have dead air, should you? I hope you're all enjoying the Sale-a-bration event. It's a great event. It's the perfect time to both buy and think about joining Stampin' Up, because during Sale-a-bration the starter kit gets even better than normal. Let me finish with that. Because the normal deal, as you may or may not know, is for £99, and that includes your postage and packing. You get up to £130 of product of your choice, free. Not free, what am I saying? You get £130 worth of product, but you only pay £99. During Sale-a-bration, you can add free, and that's why I'm thinking free, 2 additional stamp sets, and they can be any value you want. The most you can add, as far as value is concerned, is £93, depending on which sets you choose. So for £99 you can get over £200 worth of product. So if you are looking at spending somewhere around the £100 mark, I would strongly recommend that you buy the starter kit, because you get so much more. You then get effectively, if you joined now, beginning of January, you'd get 6 months to meet your minimum sales targets, which can be your own sales, and you'd only have to pay 80% of roughly 80% of the cost of those items, because you'd, as a demonstrator, get a discount. And if you don't meet your sales targets, you get to keep the starter kit and everything else you've bought, and nothing happens. You just stop being a demonstrator and can start being a customer again. So I'll make sure that the link to that is in the description bar. It's the Join My Team link. So if that's the sort of money that you're looking to spend, I really would recommend that you do that. So we've stamped that. Let us colour this in. Now, this is paintbrush type. Actually, I'm going to start with, used to be indecisive, I'm going to start with the awning, only so that I can show you, A, that this is a pale colour, and that the Memento ink is not bleeding, even though this is pale. And then I'm just going to do the little bits, the little extra bits, here, and here, and here. Let me just, I haven't coloured it particularly well, but hopefully you can see that that hasn't bled. And then what I'm going to do is take the Sweet Sugar Plum, and with the writing end just colour in the stripes on the banner. I'm then going to pause the tape while I colour the rest in, because I really don't think you need to see me colouring in. I'm sure we can trust that we all know what colouring in looks like. So I shall be back shortly with a coloured in image. Right, okay, so I've coloured that in. I've done it slightly differently from the original. Not particularly differently, but very slightly differently. But this does now have all of the in-colour colours on it. So I've got the Emerald Embury here, the Dapper Denim, the Flirty Flamingo, the Peekaboo Peach, and the Rich Razzleberry. And I've actually done two-tone ice cream because you can get 2 scoops of ice cream and also ripple ice cream, so why not? So that's that coloured in. The only other stamping that we now need to do is for the little banner. I'm just trying to see my bits of card which have flown away. No, here we are. So I've got a little strip of the Watermelon Wonder and a strip of the smooth white cardstock, and they literally are just little strips, little offcuts. But I've got them, I hope you can see, if I put my hand behind it, hopefully it'll focus properly, that I've just got a little, tiny little border, so it just makes it pop off the card a bit. So I've already got the stamp put on the block. This is a G block, but we know that we can use a different block if we want. And this, it says "You're the sweetest." So what we're going to do is we are going to take our markers and we're going to colour in our stamp so that we get multicoloured stamping, which I love the fact that you can do this. It's just brilliant, because it does mean that for a much smaller investment, oh, sorry, I keep hitting the camera today. For a much smaller investment, you can get lots of colours. And then you can, you know, if you're just starting out, a couple of ink pads and a pack of markers, and you've got, you know, more colours than you would otherwise be able to get. So I think that's just brilliant. So there we go. Let's just make sure that's fully inked, which it looks as if it is. Quick huff just to make sure that everything's all right. Then I'm about 1/2 inch in from the end, so that it's not right at the end. And there you are, "You're the sweetest." And then with our little snips, we're going to flag the ends, so you just, in the middle of your strip, just cut in, and then from the corners just cut and cut, so you get a little flag end. And then we'll do the same on this. Actually, I'll do it before I stick it down. So in the middle, corner, corner. Ooh, get rid of the bits, and then that will layer nicely one over the other. So just make sure you can see that. Right, so we are going to take some snail, and just very carefully, because this is actually a little narrow for snail, but I don't need anything tougher than that, so it's only card to card, and it's not a 3D project, so that's perfect. So that's that. Then to stick this down, you could either use snail, or you can actually use the multi-purpose glue. This is a very old bottle that I've been using for a while, and it's filthy. All you need to do with the glue is just put a very thin layer. This really is a case of less is more. If you put too much, it'll take a long time to dry and will warp your cardstock a bit. Or have the potential to, but it does mean that, unlike the tape adhesives, because it's wet, you have got a bit of forgiving time to stick that down. For this, because it's the thin Whisper White, I'm not going to use the glue. I'm going to bring in the snail again, and we're just going to put a couple of strips of that, and then mount it towards the right hand end. I'm just checking that you can see this with my new camera setup. I can't see everything that you can see, which is slightly disarming, but there we go. Right, so there we are. So that's that. We'll then bring this back out, glue on the back, and again we're only going to use a very thin amount. Don't need that anymore. And then again down to the bottom corner. And as you can see, the fact that we didn't stamp behind this bit doesn't matter because we're not seeing it anyway. Oh, that's a bit skew-whiff, but it's Tombow, so I've got wiggle room. There we go, that's better. And then this will go here, so we'll cut it about there. Don't need those bits. A bit more snail. Again, you could use Tombow for this, but we'll use the snail. And then just before we stick it down, I'm going to just bend the end a bit to give it a bit of a lift, and then tuck this in behind the stamped image so that it's over the green as well, and then just feed it into where you want it and pop it down. Now I've actually got a little bit of glue just here, and that's going to pick up dirt, so I'm going to take my adhesive remover and just take that off. This will take off pretty much any adhesive. If it's Tombow, you just need to let it dry first and then it will lift it off, so that's something that's always worth knowing. Right, so the only thing that's missing now is the rhinestones for the wheel hubs. So I'm going to take my piercing tool and just lift the large rhinestone, pop it in the middle, and another one, and pop it in the middle. So there you are. I hope you've enjoyed that. That's the new one. This is the original. So they are the same but different. But I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope you found it useful to understand what £45 looks like. It's a huge amount of stuff, particularly if you're clever about what you pick. I will list all the items on my blog post as ever, and I'll list it in the actual body of the blog post as well as in the product description at the bottom. And oh, one thing I just wanted to add, if you are looking to buy the starter kit and you're worried that as a demonstrator you have to run parties and workshops and classes and all that stuff, you don't. You can do as much or as little on that as you want. If you just want to be a hobby demo with the discount, then that's absolutely brilliant, and Stampin' Up will welcome you with open arms and be very happy for you to be your own customer, and your only customer if that's what you want. And if you were to join my team of the Stable Hands, equally I would be delighted to welcome you. We have great fun. We have meetings very regularly, both in person and on Facebook Live and things like that. So doesn't really matter where you are in the UK, you'll be able to join in. So if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe. The post will be linked below, and as will the joining instructions. If you want to ask any questions about any of the products, any of the techniques, or about joining my team, please do feel free to contact me. My contact details are on my my website. I'm always happy to talk to people and have email correspondence or a phone call. That's absolutely fine. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye!